Now that you caught your breath from the draft, it's time for the rookies to get down to business at Rookie Minicamp today on Locked On Chiefs.
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, Chiefs Kingdom. It's officially the next part of the season because we are on to Rookie Minicamp and shortly to follow OTAs as you get to see new players on the field. We're going to break it down for you. Thanks for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Check out another Locked On show for your next one because we're always available for you every day, everywhere. Make sure you check out where Chris is doing his work at KC Chiefs Corner. You can find me still at rogueapc.com. If you didn't get the draft guide, you can still go get it. That discount's still out there for you. If you want to brush up on some of these names that maybe you don't recognize that we'll cover today, you can also find me at NFL 33 and RGR Football. We have a ton to go over. If you want that much more, or there's breaking news, the Chiefs make a trade or a signing or something, we'll put it out at 816-357-8781. Hit that number, get signed up, and you'll be on our text line for the insiders. You locos, we live for you. We're glad that you're here with us. Today, we're going to go over some of the funk that I think is out there from the post-draft hangover that a lot of teams feel. Certainly, a lot of media members want to run down what the Chiefs did. So draft grades are kind of all over the place. We'll talk about what that means and who's right and who's wrong, and that's coming up later. Before that, the offense has some interesting options to it, and who knows who could step forward. This is just the very beginning with 2 practices in as we record this. No reports on day 3 of minicamp as it was closed to the media, but that's what has just started. The rookies got on the field. We heard from a few of them, select draft picks, etc. A lot has gone into this point where you get to take the next step forward and get guys onto the field. A lot of surprises in my mind about how this went, and maybe none more so around the country than the reaction to the fact that Josh Simmons got out there and went through individual drills. He hit some bags. He did some stuff. It surprised me by a long shot, and just how much did it take you aback?
Well, it's surprising. I didn't expect that he would be out there. I thought that he would have, probably nothing really going on other than trying to learn the playbook and trying to get an idea, this is where I need to be. This is how we're going to do things and whatnot, and watching practice. But he gets out there and does individual drills. Andy Reid came out and said, he was impressed by what he saw in the individual drills and that they're going to bring him along slowly, which to me is kind of funny considering it doesn't seem slowly. I didn't think he was going to be practicing at all. He's at least doing individual drills. He told our buddy Matt Derrick, he's impressed by what he saw, and that's a good sign going forward. I think, I don't know. It's hard to know whether or not he'll be available for any of the OTAs or the mini camps, or if they're going to do anything with the team stuff. But the reality is you and I talked about this after the draft. I think we talked about it even maybe a little bit before the draft. If you draft him, you can look at his rookie year as being maybe even a redshirt year. That's the reality. But you're still getting one of the best tackles that came out in this draft class at 32.
I would still argue, injury aside, the best tackle in this draft class. So it's not particularly close.
There's lots of people that have lots of different opinions on that, and I know we're talking Josh Simmons, but the Eagles put out something about talking about trading back or trading up to get that pick. I didn't remember that when the Chiefs beat the Eagles in the Super Bowl, they flipped picks that year too, and they did it again this year. And we're going to talk about one of the draft, the actual draft pick that they got in addition to the Josh Simmons, being able to take Josh Simmons at 32 a little bit later. But you look at this, and if he's able to play this year, it's a boon for this team and it's a benefit. It would be great for him. But I look at this and I'm saying, okay, if he can't play this year, he's going to get a year in NFL strength and conditioning. He's going to get a year in learning the NFL game and learning how to be a professional. And that's important too. So him getting on the field, a lot bigger step forward than I expected. This makes me think that he could be available for training camp. I never thought he'd be available for OTAs. I'm not going to say it's out of the question that he's available for OTAs, but I hope they don't rush him, and I hope they don't use him in any team drills because there's no reason to really put any extra pressure on him at this point.
I agree with you. And I'll say this too. We've also seen some guys get off to some hot starts in OTAs and fizzle down the stretch. particularly the end of training camp when the pads come on into the season. So I like the concept of, okay, if he's able to do drills against bags and against air, great. Let him have his heyday. Give it all to him. Do whatever he can do and let him get his feet wet in the offense. One that I think he made a really interesting comment that we'll get to in a second. But then you can dial him back, especially when it comes to the August heat and dealing with contact. And you've at least gotten him immersed in what you're doing, what your version of this offense is, because he's not too stressed about it so far. I thought the most interesting comment that he made was, yeah, this isn't as tough as I thought it was going to be when it came to the playbook. Like, that surprised me.
That's a good sign, though. You look at it, and that just means that he should be ready for this. And the other reality is when you start looking at what he's able to do and what he's going to be stepping into with this Chiefs offense, it's a question of if he's not going to be the starter, which at this point we're not assuming he's going to be the starter. We don't even know if he's going to play this year, but we don't assume he's going to be the starter. So anything he does this year is going to be a bonus for this team. And getting to the point where, he's doing individual drills now. I don't care if he's still doing individual drills when they get into training camp. Maybe at the end of OTAs, you start getting him to where he can start doing some team drills where there's really not supposed to be contact. That's a little bit, another step forward in the right direction. But when you get to training camp and the pads come on, that's a completely different animal.
Yeah. And he's got to be able to take that next leap up. And if that's where the rubber hits the road, if that's his limit, then that's fine. He doesn't have to do that. So we'll see how he progresses here. If he's able to continue through at least bag drills, plays on air, that's great. Even in OTAs, if you get to mix in with the ones a little bit, again, just going on air, that's great. I don't think contact is anything important, and there's minimal contact at OTAs anyway, but there's still room for him to have runway and still be a guy that gets a redshirt year, which I still think is best for him. But he's not the only one, especially on offense. There are plenty of other players out here that do need that runway and do need to make an impact. They are going to get after it. We're going to hit some of them coming up next. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find the specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more, experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. It gives businesses the flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries. IT, AI, web development, marketing, whether you need extra hands or a long-term partner, Upwork can make hiring simple and affordable. I use it whenever I need somebody to do something I'm not prepared to put the time into, whether it's graphic development, websites, AI, the whole thing to automate. It makes it cost-effective because you don't have to grow by hiring full-time people. You get affordable top-tier freelancers and scale efficiently as you need to. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWRK.com, Upwork.com, to connect with top talent and grow your business today. There's lots and lots of things that have to happen, but if you want to know how it all fits in, go to KC Chiefs Corner, see what Chris is putting out there about the cap and the way it all comes together from a business standpoint. You can check me out at NFL33.com, where we just put out a piece specific to the Chiefs, not something we do over there because we try to cover the rest of the league as well. So check that out, and you can always find me on RGR Football, where I'm going to be live on Monday nights, all season long, all summer long, normal stuff. You can always find me there, and we're going to have great content for you as well. Thanks for checking out our other outlets as you make this your anchor media for getting ready for the Chiefs. The offense is something that we know what the problem was, right? They addressed it with draft choices, but that's not the only way to get it done. I found it really keen. And if somebody wants a long shot, a dark horse to get a camp invite that's in the rookie camp right now, it would have to be Kingsley Suamata's former running mate, Kime, the other tackle from BYU that is in camp on a minicamp invite. We'll see what happens. Again, as of this recording, practice has not been released. We don't know about any signings from rookie minicamp, et cetera, who might get a camp invite or an OTA invite. So we will stand by for that. It would not surprise me if they gave him a look, but anything from the rookies that were not draft picks or priority free agents that really stood out to you.
I think that it's just going to be interesting to see what Kansas City is able to do with the guys that they drafted. And, you start looking at, what is Royals going to bring to this offense? We start talking about the different options. Briningstool was a guy you had at a 5th round grade on, and they brought him in. And I did see a note on him that said that one of the reasons they think that maybe he went to Kansas City is because Andy Reid is the only head coach that actually personally made the phone call to him.
Right.
That's that's a key. Like, you look at it's the small things. Like, like I mentioned last segment, you talk about, the Eagles putting their video out in the draft room and how Roseman talking to all these different GMs and having conversations about making picks. And then all of a sudden they make a trade with Kansas City, and you see that trade going on from that perspective. It's all about relationships. It's all about guys being willing to have those types of conversations. And then, you look at what Andy Reid's doing, and he's calling people that he wants on his team. And that makes a difference. Like, it's the small things that add up. And there are, 31 other teams in the NFL that are trying to do the same thing that Kansas City's done 3 times the last 7 years, win Super Bowls, and all the details add up. Every single one of them.
Every last one. You're absolutely right. And I think Briningstool is probably the diamond of the UDFA class as I look down here just to run them down. You have some guys that have some talent, like Elijah Badger from Florida certainly is up there, right? I actually like Trey Watson, another one. Isapole from Washington State. I talked a lot about him pre-draft. I actually had a draftable grade on him as well. It was a 7th, but I had him in there.
We talked about him right after the draft, and you were hoping that they would get Isapole. So
yeah,
you said it, I'm pretty sure, on the show right after the draft. You're like, that would be a good signing, and here he is. And
yeah,
I remember talking about Briningstool and doing mock drafts and looking at Briningstool in like the 5th and 6th round. So I remember doing that and having this conversation. So you look at some of these players and what they're going to bring to this offense. You talk about what happened last year. The biggest thing that happened last year is you had injuries to multiple different positions. We haven't talked about it enough, I don't think, the wide receiver injuries that they had. Rashee Rice going down really changed everything on this offense. Like, you saw what was coming early on, and that doesn't even take into account what they missed with Hollywood Brown pretty much the entire season.
I mean, 2-prong attack, right? I mean, you had hoped Xavier would grow into something, but they were the primary receivers. You lose them both.
Yeah.
It was a difficult thing to
week
overcome.
5.
Right. And they were able to overcome it, and kudos to Xavier for growing into the role that he did. But when you look down at Badger, who could be a guy that could maybe make the roster, certainly Briningstool. And I do like the fact that he called out, hey, I have a chance to go learn from a Hall of Fame guy that is at the end of his career. Like, he's not going to hold back. He's not going to see me as breathing over his shoulder. He's not going to be like, I'm not going to waste my time with the young kid because he's almost out of here. Right. So, like, I think the knowledge transfer could be more significant.
Yeah. And to be fair, I don't think Kelce's ever been that guy.
True.
I mean, maybe early in his career, he was kind of more that way. But he's never seemed like he's been that guy since he's actually stepped into leadership. He has seemed like he has taken every single guy he could under his wing and done whatever he can to try to help them, because he realizes that he can't do it all himself. And that's the biggest thing, is this is a team effort. Everybody has to do their own part. And, who knows? Maybe we're going to be talking about Jake Briningstool catching a winning touchdown pass in a playoff game or a Super Bowl this year. You never know.
No, there's no way to tell in this offense. And I think nobody exemplifies that more than a piece that I just saw. It was just a few-minute interview that Alex Smith did. And I can't remember who was asking the questions. Might have been Rich Eisen. I honestly cannot remember. But he was talking about how, Travis always feels everything. He's always been that guy. He's always been real. And whoever was doing it, I think it was Rich Eisen. I think he was on that show, and he was telling them, like, when he found out you got traded away from Kansas City after being there 5 years with him in his developmental stage, he was heartbroken. He was ripped up. And then he's never held back. And he's always been that guy that's kind of had it out there on his sleeve. And I think that's really good. And it's more exemplary now as he's the guy passing on the information than it is the kid that was coming up.
Yeah. And, you look at this team and you look at, all the different parts. You look at, the offensive line. We're still waiting to find out if they're able to get a deal done with Trey Smith, which we're hoping gets done in the coming weeks. But the offensive line looks like it's in really good shape this year. Obviously, you still have a question whether or not the left tackle is going to be able to step in and do what you want him to be able to do. But you're in a better situation this year than you were last year because you've got I would make an argument that you have 4 guys that you could run out there at left tackle. You're not going to love all of the options there,
Right.
but you have your starter, you have potentially your draft pick this year from Simmons. You have Wanye Morris who could go out there and play, and you have Kingsley Suamataia. Maybe you don't like any of those options past the starter, but at the same time, you didn't have almost anything last year.
Yeah. And we haven't even seen Ethan Driscoll. Who knows? Maybe he's made
Right.
enormous progress. It's one of the things we're going to look forward to for OTAs because they have a lot of options here on both sides. And we know that we have defensive draft picks to talk and UDFAs to talk about. We'll do some of that tomorrow as well, folks. But the draft grades go hand in hand. And this is why Kansas City is what it is, because nobody knows what the heck they're doing because grades are all over the place. We'll tell you about some of them coming up next.
I know we're going to talk about draft grades, but I need your help on this one. Who was the draft pick that passed away last year for the Vikings?
It is a kid from Oregon. His name slips right at the moment. Had a lot of upside. Was a friend of a new chief, as we understand it.
Yeah, and the whole reason I bring it up, and this is the reason I want to mention it. I didn't know, like, they announced the numbers, and Bossa has 31. He's a linebacker. I'm sitting there going, I hate that because I like that you used to look at it and you're like, okay, that's a linebacker. No, you could look at it from that perspective. Boss is wearing it because of his old college roommate or his old college teammate.
Yeah,
great tribute. Saw that today. I just wanted to kind of mention that and get that out there because that's pretty awesome.
And I'm trying to go back and double check it because I do, and I always felt that he had a ton of upside. It's Kyrie Jackson. That's who we're talking about, folks. And I actually liked him as a fit in Kansas City. Like, it's too bad. Terrible story all the way around. But for him to bring that up and for him to go with that number now, I do think is a big positive. And he's a guy that, as we understand, had contact with 30 teams in the pre-draft process. 30 teams. Only 2 teams in this league did not take some interest in one-on-one time with Jeff Bossa. So that's important. And a lot of teams that even the ones or media that are giving Chiefs bad grades still point to that as, hey, that's still a quality get where you got him. And that was due to the Eagles trade, right? A couple of things that have really, really baffled me. Is that Steve Palazzolo and Sam Monson now over at 33rd team. Normally, I don't agree with anything that they say, but they seem to love the Chiefs draft. So kudos to them for finally coming around, Steve. You're welcome. I've been telling you for years. Did that catch you off guard?
It's different. I look at it and I say, okay, well, eventually they're going to feel like the Chiefs got it right, but I don't know. I felt like the Chiefs have got it right for the past couple of seasons, and some people have liked the drafts and some people haven't, and some have been right and some haven't. So we'll see. I've seen people that have argued that this draft could be as good as the 2021 draft, which is huge praise, and not sure that I would agree with that, but it has potential to be a huge draft for this team. If you can get a franchise left tackle with your first pick and maybe a starter at wide receiver with another one, I mean, those are 2 positions that are huge premium positions, plus potentially a corner that can step in and start for you with another one. I mean, you're sitting in a good situation. And then, obviously defensive tackle. I mean, we'll see how it turns out, but this could be a foundational draft. We're going to have to see how these players turn out in Kansas City, and all of it's going to, be something that we'll watch over the next couple of seasons, and we'll be able to talk about it, years down the road. But draft grades right now are always funny to me because nobody really knows.
Yeah. And honestly, if you were giving a grade for the most genuine class, I think the Chiefs would be right up there because Norman Lott's fun to hear him talk about ball. I'll tell you that. I hear that he is a crack up all the way around. So that's an interesting element. Seems very much in the Chris Jones mold to me.
I was about to say,
right?
Is that just
right?
Chris Jones to you, or like those 2 are going to get along?
Has a type too. Yeah, it does. Yeah. Ashton Gelotti not only comes out and is really, really, I think, genuine in his first presser. A lot of folks reacting to that, but I admit I was wrong. I was one of the first guys in on Gelotti over 2 years ago when I watched his film, and I didn't give him enough credit. Come to find out that my grade at 90, which is where I had him on my board, was too low. That the Chiefs were not alone across this league in having him up there in the upper half of the second round, 75 or higher by half the teams in the league. So that's on me. That's on me. Ashton, don't hold it against me. But I find that intriguing too. And a lot of folks didn't like the pick, but I think that's just because you're reading into what he looks like in college, not what the Chiefs will turn him into looking like for them.
Well, and it all plays into what do teams think that they can get out of players. Like, and I hate saying it that way, but that's the reality of it. It's like, okay, you draft a guy because of what he did in college, but you draft him because of what you think you can turn him into and what his pro career can possibly be for you. That's exactly what they're looking at in all these drafted players, and even the undrafted players. What can you turn them into? Can they be a guy that's going to step in and become a plus player for you in some way, shape, or form, whether it's a starter or it's a guy that's just depth that is a core special teams guy or somebody that's able to step in and start from time to time if you absolutely need him to.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of depth here. So as far as the grades go, I'm not going to call out the people that are the detractors because you're all wrong. But I am going to write it down. Like maybe next year I'll call out the ones who just had no damn clue what they were looking at. But I do feel like it all goes towards this whole concept of people hate the Chiefs. They're starting to hate the Eagles already. But both these teams are doing the same thing. And to Brandon Beane's credit, I know I tease him a lot about making some deals that really, really help the Chiefs, but he does a hell of a job too. And it's these top teams that aren't afraid to move. They got their evaluations and they're going to go for them, whether it means giving up, a fifth round for a singular chance to go up with the Chiefs. The Eagles were able to ward off, at least by my understanding, 5 other teams that we're calling about that spot to go get that linebacker in Jahad Campbell. And it just goes to show you that teams that know what they're doing, in particular GMs that know what they're doing, will move around, will give up things when they have to in order to get the job done.
And Roseman was calling for 5 or 6 picks before the Chiefs trying to trade up to go get him. Like, it wasn't just that he was doing, when he got to 31, he was trying, I think I saw he was trying with the Chargers at 22. Like, he was trying to go up that high to go get him. Yeah. Like, there was multiple different teams that he was calling and having conversations with. And my favorite one, watching the video, because I was curious what the Chiefs said, but my favorite one was the commander said, yeah, we'll make a trade with you, but there's going to be an in-division tax. So didn't decide that they wanted to go that way, and they ended up getting their guy anyway. But, you look at it from that perspective of good GMs continue to follow their boards and trust their process and trust where they are, because you can ruin everything by overdrafting players on a regular basis. Like, all GMs are going to miss. All GMs are going to have their own guys that they think are great that aren't going to work out. Go back and look at Breach's, Breland Speaks. Didn't work. Obviously, he got it wrong. That's fine. Yep. You're going to miss on some. But it's the matter of, can you continually try to hit 60, 70% of the time? And even if you're not hitting like starter level players 60 to 70% of the time, it's, can you hit on picks that make some kind of valuable contribution to your team? Because even getting a 6th or 7th rounder that's a core special teams guy, who knows? He could end up having 2 or 3 big plays for you during the season.
Yeah. He just replaced a special teams ace that cost you 4 times as much. It's all worth it. It all goes to the plan.
Yeah. So we'll see. And, one of the other notes that actually came out over the weekend is that they released B.J. Thompson with a waiver. So he could be back on IR. Hopefully he continues to get healthier. So we'll see. But Andy Reid did say, from what I saw, that, it's not saying that he's done with football. It's just he's not there yet. He won't be there this year. I don't know that you could really expect much more considering what he went through last year.
Yeah, it's a delicate situation and one that, unfortunately, training does help, but takes time. So we should hopefully see by, I believe, Tuesday, whether he has reverted to the IR list for Kansas City Chiefs. If he wasn't claimed, I doubt that he is. So let's hope that he can continue his progress here in KC. So A lot to go over, and we'll have more for you. We should see some news about new additions, getting ready for OTAs, etc. So make sure you keep it here. We are every day of the week, all year round. We'll take a holiday here and there, but you got us, and we got you, and all the information that you need. So make sure you like, sub, hit the bell, and be with us again as we're going to hit it again tomorrow. Matt and Derek will come back, and I may hold his feet to the fire on his pre-draft Josh Simmons take, especially after he got to see him with his own eyes.
That'll be on Wednesday, but yes, he will be back this week.
Yes, we are going to have it all. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate you. Thank you for the subs. Hope you enjoyed the draft, but it is now on to the newest version. The 2025 version is being forged in Kansas City of your Chiefs. Have a good one. We'll talk to you tomorrow.